Okay, so we move on to our next project, which is getting the user input of a selected row into our text box. So first, we start by double clicking on the form interface, which gives us the public class form one. So we want to create a virtual data table, which is known as, which we call people. So what this virtual table is, it will take the user inputs, and this virtual table will be bundled with the data grid view so that it will be displayed on the data grid view when you run our UI. So later we move on to defining the columns for the table. So define the columns, use the code table dot columns dot add id get type integer. So which means the table dot column, the column name is id and the it type is integer, and the next column is first name and the type is string. The last name it type is also string and the age is integer. So we added some sample rows to it, which is table.rows.add. So table.row.add, the one stands for the ID, Alex stands for the first name, me stands for the last name, and 23 stands for the age. Same applies to the 2 Bob, AJ, and the 29, and so on. So from here, we bind our virtual table to the data grid view so that when we run our UI, the virtual table will be displayed on top of the data grid view. So we later move on and later move on. So we have if e dot row index less than or greater than or equal to 0, then get the row that was clicked. So the if statement check if the row is clicked, the row clicked is valid or not, and then selected row as data grid view equals data grid view one dot row dot index get as the row that was what clicked. So after that, the rows we selected, its values are displayed in the text boxes, which are the text box 1 dot text, text box 2, text box 3, and text box 4, respectively. So we have the text box 1 dot text for selected row dot cells. So in this selected row, retrieve the volume in that selected row into this text box. Yeah. So we have the ID, that's of the ID, that's of the first name, last name, and age. So we have the selected row dot cells ID dot value dot to string, which means it's selected the selected row which has cells of ID. We know that in, let's say in Excel we have a cell. A cell is made up of, it's like a box, a single box. Before a lot of cells come together to give us what? A table, as it is in the Excel sheet. So with this, you know that in a row, each column will have one cell. So the cells of ID, the value to string. So we convert the final thing to string because the text box accepts only string value type. Yeah. So that's why all the others have value dot to string, value dot to string. So we take a look at the UI. So this is UI after running it. So let's select column, the first row, we confirm that the details, like the inputs or the values in each cell has been displayed there as we were talking about earlier. So let's check the other one. So this is the end of the video, and we're able to demonstrate how to get values in a selected row into the text box. Thank you.